Join the train. It's comfortable up here in the other 3-0s.
Well, hold on.
It's not easy. Ooh, spicy. Sam, what do you think?
The patrols will be the toss up.
Played them once and they beat them once. They're 1 for 1. I mean, stand up.
If you love London,
If you love London, stand up. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3, Sam.
Right.
And to our Friday Fight per usual, like always, it's none other than the Rex, ShadyNero, and boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, today, oh my goodness, we got all of the qualifier matches in the books, which means the Stage 1 Major, the first LAN of Vanguard, is nearly upon us. So today we're doing predictions. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to rank play and some GA debates as well, and a lot more spicy news. We got a lot to get into. Before we get into that, guys, I got to ask, boys, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like a rolled up package of Twizzlers ready to burst out the seams. And some little kids coming along and they're seeing me on the shelf and they're like, "Ooh, that one's a fatty daddy." And they grab me and they buy me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm worth more than $1, but that's neither here nor there. They pop me open and all of a sudden they start cutting into me. And then they put me into some Coca-Cola and they start drinking out of me like I'm a straw, which is not my purpose and probably not good for your teeth.
No.
And it worries me.
Yeah, you're endangering the kids.
But at the end of the day, I'm fulfilling my mission of being digested, and that's all a Twizzler can ask for, really.
I mean, yeah, ShadyNero's always on a mission. Sam, how you doing?
You know, I am a sick boy. I'm not feeling the best.
You're coddled up in your little blanket, man. You're cozy today. He's coughing a storm. Someone get this man some medicine.
But
my goodness.
But you know what? The best of 3 don't take no breaks. So
no, just a day late. It's a Wednesday episode of the edition of the show because Sam was too sick yesterday. Today we're good.
And $1 short. So
yeah, of course.
For you.
Honestly, it worked out pretty good though because of the COD like 2023 news and stuff.
Yes.
That makes it fun to talk about today.
Yes. So you're welcome for getting sick. And
dude, thanks, man. Appreciate
so
that. Otherwise, we'd have had some bad luck.
Not only will I be stuttering, not only will I be voice cracking, now I'm going to sound nasally and coughing.
And tired.
So if this isn't
I'll eat that up.
the
Dude,
quadruple
pop the
duo
Addy
or the
right now. Get cracked. We're going into a ranked play match. No doubt about it. Let's go. Okay.
heck yes. So,
well, you can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify. You can watch on YouTube. You can drop that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can drop that review maybe on Spotify nowadays. Or, once in a while, we read even YouTube comment reviews. So maybe drop one down below. Appreciate you guys. And today we got one, maybe?
We sure do.
Okay.
We sure do. This one is from 141 Winter.
Ooh,
5-star review, as always. COD-tastic.
Oh, okay.
Do you live an average life?
Yes.
Do you feel lost in your day-to-day life during the week while you wait for COD on the weekend?
Well,
I was too, until one ordinary day on my lunch break. I opened YouTube, and there it was. Like a diamond in the rough. It shined through my phone screen so bright, I had to shield my eyes. It was the Best of 3 podcast. Little did I know my life was about to change. A half an hour lunch break quickly turned into 2 hours. It was at this point I knew how accuracy felt against OpTic and Cold War, Game 5, Round 11 S&D. I left work and went straight to Target, purchased a $1,200 iPad Pro just to leave this review. That's what you get with this podcast. Love the podcast, guys. Been listening for about 3 months. Keep up the amazing work.
Oh, my word. What a review. That was amazing.
Jeez. Thank you for your support. We appreciate everyone.
Gosh. That was music to my ears.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know that was a review at first. I thought that was just Sam talking. I'm like, whoa, what is happening right now?
Bro, when's the last time I've ever sounded that smart?
I was like so eloquent. Whoa.
Wow. Insane. Well, appreciate you, man. That was an amazing review. That was one of the best ones we've had. So appreciate that. And like I said, we got a lot to talk about today. So, shocker. No quick question today. I know you guys are looking forward to it. Maybe next week. I bet next week we have one. Next week we're having one. I already just committed to it right now. So without further ado, let's get right into the news of the week.
The The Call of Duty News of the Week.
This just in.
Oh!
Call of Duty news.
Wow.
This is Best of 3 Podcasts.
Can
This is
you see it
ShadyNero coming at you.
There we go.
Shaky Nero.
Major 1. There's going to be a best of 9 for the grand finals, and there's a debate on what the winner's side advantage is going to be, seeing that we only have 10 total maps.
Yeah, so this was kind of something that came up on the Reddit, and I was like, that's a good point. Maybe it wasn't the most, we probably shouldn't have maybe led with this news because it's not very newsy, but like, I thought it was an interesting debate. What are your guys' thoughts on like for the potential of like the winner's bracket advantage having only like a 1 map veto?
Mhm.
It seems like no one's ever satisfied. It's not
it's not
last
ideal,
year people
though.
were like, there's too much of an advantage for people in grand finals. Now, maybe there's not enough of an advantage. I mean, what's the sweet spot?
That's fair. I mean, obviously, a lot of people want like the OG double elims where you have to beat a team twice in the grand finals to reset the bracket. I was never the biggest fan of something like that because
I like best of 9. I like it being one series. I think it's just more fluid and just makes sense.
I mean, we saw the beauty. We've only had one series. We've had 2 series where it's been amazing. The Empire FaZe series in Stage 4's Major, where it went down to Game 9 and was really epic. And then also, of course, Stage 5's Major with Rokkr and the Ultra.
That was
But
crazy.
that wasn't as epic until the final 2 maps or so. So I guess I can see the point of people saying like it kind of drags on. It's not very advantageous, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice if they got a little bit better of an advantage, but at least in this game, you'd be able to choose the control map, which I guess in that sense is a pretty decent advantage. But
between the two that we have.
yeah, so you get a veto one of them, so you guaranteed to play the map you want to play, I guess, which is nice, but tough otherwise.
Yeah. No.
Any other opinions?
Again, I don't like that because they don't have a 1 map advantage, though, right? Like it's not sort of
As far as we know, no.
Okay. Like I just don't understand that part because
Yeah, especially this year since we only have 8 maps to choose from.
yeah,
Or 10 maps to choose
10
from.
maps
We
total.
definitely need more maps. That would definitely need more maps.
I mean,
So
for
I think
sure,
I think starting with a 1 map advantage, like you said, would make sense considering we only have 10 maps to
Yeah.
work with.
it would like knock off a potential, maps.
Yeah.
Would have more, more of a ban process too.
Yeah, if anything, it makes sense to do this year. So I don't know. That's a good point. Hopefully they can change something about that.
But it's just more of just like the principle of it. I feel like the winners should actually mean something and start up, 1-0 or have to go through 2 series. Not saying we should do 2 best of 9s. In that case, be 2 best of 5s or 2 best of 7s. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I
but-
agree. Because especially with this where you have to grind all the way through qualifying to get to the winner's bracket in the first place. And then you can win your matches and then you don't really have that big of an advantage, I guess. I am a little bit surprised by it for sure.
Which you
I
wonder
agree.
too with Esports Engine stepping in, if they had any consulting of telling them, hey, you should probably not do a best of 9 and then no winner's advantage. I don't know. I'm sure it's more of the Call of Duty League making that decision, but
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's possible they could potentially revisit it or make a decision on that before the major, considering there's still like a week or so to go. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see something on that. So keep your eyes open about something like that.
Keep them open.
So ranked play came out. The
did.
reviews have been
Decent.
mixed to decent, I think. Obviously, there's problems as there is in every ranked game.
Yeah, I mean, they launched in beta for a reason, like
Right. So these are some ranked issues that are now happening now and that Treyarch are working on. They're like the penalizing players who leave.
Yep.
You can talk about
the
that, Josh.
workarounds. Well, the workarounds right now are pretty funny. I mean, when it comes to like, when you can join on your friends right now in the middle of a game and leave without penalty, which is what people are doing to avoid losses and losing their elos. But also the biggest problem is that elos right now, you lose way too much elo when you lose, and then you don't gain enough when you win.
It's like 15 if you win and like 50 if you lose.
Yeah, like let's say you go 35 and 25 with like a minute in the hill in a Bo3 hardpoint that you win, you'll maybe gain like max 20. Max. And then probably more like 10 or 12. And if you lose that same exact one, 250, 249, you'd lose 50. So,
Jeez.
Which is
it's
insane.
it's tough. Even if you win 60% of your maps, you're still going to lose elo. A lot of elo.
Yeah,
So,
a lot. But
yeah, they need to fix
they
that.
say they are working on that because obviously that was too much. So adjustments for SR gained lost are in the works by Treyarch. There's also an issue with losing SR when you are winning or when a team quits. So that will be patched. I'm not sure how prevalent that is so much.
Yeah, I mean, basically teams are just quitting when the game, for at least for the most part, like when the game's looking like it's over. Yeah, then that's when teams leave. So, and it's, again, they're leaving through the glitches right now. So it's like, A, they need to fix the SR. And then once the SR is fixed, then people aren't going to be as incentivized to leave because it's like, right now you lose so much elo when you lose and you don't gain a lot when you win. So leaving is really incentivized.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just tough. They need to fix that for sure.
Intuition and marksman rifle restrictions will be looked at.
Yeah, nothing too much there.
Yep. And then also just some quality of life stuff, displaying the skill division and tier info better.
Yeah, because right now it's a little bit muddy about like where you actually are with your SR and stuff. So that makes actually a lot of sense. So,
but it'll all work itself out. And honestly, it seems like this is, I mean, what do we think compared to all the other ranked plays we've had in CoD?
It's gonna be the best ranked play we've ever had, no doubt about it. It's just gonna take some time. Like like right now, again, they launched a beta because they knew they weren't fully ready for it. So the SR stuff makes sense that they're having problems with that stuff. It's kind of unfortunate because it's like for the whole rest of the season, your SR is going to be affected by the errors that they had. Like some people who won 4 of their 5 matches and played pretty well ended up in like a 700 elo or something like that. So it's like
the case every ranked play though.
So there's just going to be some problems with that type of stuff. Besides that, it's just really the joining and leaving stuff because like right now, basically you're not really going to play a Gavutu hardpoint or a Gavutu control or most S&Ds people are quitting out of, especially at higher elos, like in higher elites and masters. So those are problems. But once they patch the quitting stuff, then I think that'll probably be gone. But I wish we had voting.
So I was looking at, so like some people were making like their wish lists for ranked and what they would like added eventually. Like Rambo said a bunch of things, but I feel like no one is mentioning a rejoin option.
Yeah, no,
Why
for sure.
is no one even talking about that? I feel like that
in case of disconnects.
So yes, it's so necessary, especially with how buggy COD can be with the scan and repair and everything. Like,
oh yeah,
you need the rejoin, but
I know that's so annoying. I wish they had it.
Yeah. I mean, you still might be down because games go by fairly quickly. So by the time you get back, it just might be chalked.
But like an S&D or something, that could work. It must be tougher to code than we think it is or something because like it seems like such an obvious option to add.
Because COD Ranked has always had this problem of leavers for some reason or another. This doesn't happen in other ranked games, but for some reason in COD, it's just people will leave like hotcakes.
There's not a big enough penalty for leaving, and then also that disconnecting is pretty common in COD versus a lot of other esports.
That's true. That is
so I think that
very,
combo
very
is just killer.
But it's so wild to me. You just don't see that in other games. Like, even when a team's losing, like pretty bad, like you don't see quitters that often.
Or once the elos are fixed and where you like gain the same amount and lose and all of the options to quit are gone, then we need a forfeit option. Like if 2 of your teammates quit, like with halfway through the hard point, like why isn't there a forfeit option? Like come on.
There definitely should be a forfeit voting system. Somehow. Yeah. Just press start. And then go down to the forfeit, click that, give another prompt saying you're sure you want to start this vote. Yes. And then have the team respond.
Yeah, exactly. Those are simple things. Like, come on now, Treyarch, give us what we want.
We're in 2022, baby.
I know, right? We're recording on 2/22/2022, so
We're
it's a wild time.
And it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. It's a wild time.
Like I think Sam mentioned, the different playlists. I think that would do
Dude,
wonders.
yeah, or at least voting. Yeah, at least voting, because like that would help people. Like, well, they want to play a map that they're more likely to want to play. Like, they're also highly likely to quit a map that they hate. So like that also comes into play as well. So yeah, we'll see. I think rank's good. To plug what we got going on the gaming channel, we will be posting a lot of best of 3. We've been doing best of 3 GBs. We'll be doing like best of 3 ranked play as well.
Give me some ranked.
Yes,
some
sir.
Respawn. Yes,
sir. So hopefully we can be doing that, rock and rolling that this week and get some gameplays up on the gaming channel. So make sure to watch out for the SalvationsElite gaming channel where those gameplays will be going up. So shout out the pot. And we've already have a lot of GB episodes up there if you already want to go check those out as well because they're pretty lit.
No free shoutouts.
Oh, yeah, of course
you can check out the biggest brain player on the team, a.k.a. me.
Truth.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it.
Vanguard news. Well, actually, I guess we can talk about the Shotzzy fiasco, right? He used and the F8.
Transition it.
In a match.
In their match against Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what? He had the F8 on.
GAs.
I don't think we don't need to talk about it too much because it's kind of old news at this point, but basically he had the F8 on in the first 2 maps, and then Cammy and maybe another one of the Toronto players threw it on during the control after Shotzzy had already taken it off. OpTic won the control, obviously dominated the control, won the series 3-0, which caused obviously a lot of drama on Twitter about the use of the F8. Do you care? It's probably the only question.
GAs are dumb and I hate them.
But do you think it affected the game in a way that OpTic would not have won the series 3-0 or maybe at least 3-1?
No.
Sam?
OpTic would won.
I mean, just kind of like based on how they were playing, I would say OpTic would, still would have won, but
he was Shotzzy was the one going off on the Bocage hard point.
But it's Shotzzy.
But it
would have gone off probably either way.
Probably.
Yeah, like obviously it's like terrible timing because like OpTic obviously have been sucking, and then
I know, and then they beat. And it was against Toronto.
When they beat Toronto, they're using an illegal attachment, so it's like, ooh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, but a GA, there's no chance a GA affects a game to that degree for a 3-0.
I mean, one attachment out of the 4 players, and it increases damage rates by what 15%. So like. It's hard to imagine it changes the outcome of the series. It's possible, but we all know how pro CoD is, though. I mean, 1 or 2 kills can be the difference sometimes on hard points. Was it the difference on that Bocage? I mean, it was a close map, but OpTic had control for most of the game, so I could see maybe the Bocage going differently, but it seems unlikely to me that it would change to the 3-0.
Yeah, the Bocage was pretty close. They didn't even finish the game. It was 197 to 184.
Yeah. I feel like he was pretty genuine in his response, though. That seems like a Shotzzy thing to do. Just kind of like, because I mean, like, if you're a pro player, why would you ever assume that you didn't have it on? Like, you'd always assume you have it off.
Yeah.
Like, but the class is reset, and so that was the problem. But I don't know. Yeah. It is crazy, regardless.
And like, I suppose too, like, Ultra also lost to Thieves. Like, like maybe they just had a bad weekend, and that
will be up for the debate when we talk about the predictions.
Overall, I'd say probably still the same outcome, but at the same time, it is a little bit shady.
100%, because like what 1 or 2 pieces, and then suddenly maybe you don't hold the hill, and then they lose Bocage, and you don't have momentum, and then maybe you lose the like you can see how it spirals, but it's all ifs, ands, or buts. Like you just have there's no actual real argument outside of what ifs, and like only thing we know is that when Toronto was using it and OpTic wasn't, they smoked him in control 3-0. So. I mean, it feels like OpTic would have won the series either way.
Yeah.
Vanguard
news. The MP40, I think you touched on this, but the MP40 was nerfed range decrease at medium and long range.
Right, and this is related in sense to the Shotzzy thing because of F8, because like a lot of people think that there's a chance now F8 could get un-GA'd because it would basically bring it back to almost what it was before. So depending on how the pros feel about it, it's possible that it gets un-GA'd now. But like,
great. Un-GA it.
Who knows? It's just all whack at this point.
Right. So
if anything, it's just funny.
The detailed stats of that: 15 meters to 12.7 meters is a 3-shot kill range with the nerf, and then 28 meters to 24 meters is a 4-shot kill range.
Yeah, so like what, 2.3 decrease for the 3-shot, 4-meter decrease for the 4-shot. I think we'll probably see the biggest effect on Gavutu with how SMGs perform there, more than likely with the longer range and interesting ranged fights there, but it's hard to really know what gunfights that's going to change till pros have a lot more reps on it, you know? Because
It's already hard for SMGs to play on Gavutu. Like, man, we saw
it's gonna be the mix.
We saw John struggling pretty hard.
Oh goodness, he was in the mix,
which is
right.
right.
Like 6 kills. I think he was like 6 and
6.
That's an SMG though, man.
Oh no,
that
it's
rough.
If it goes bad for you, it goes real bad for you. But man, that's tough. So we'll see. That's something to watch for this weekend.
Bounce, I think, in the next map a little bit.
And we're not for sure confirmed if they're playing on this new patch for the major or not. So it is possible that the MP40 nerf wouldn't go into effect for the CoD League until after the Stage 1 major. That is something to consider as a potential effect, but we don't have clarification on that as of recording this.
I think they'll play on the old patch.
Yeah, based off their conversations, I think it's possible to play on the old patch, so we'll see.
Yeah. Major, hold on, I got a burp. It's not coming. Anyways, MajorManiak not happy with the current league format, meta, or the maps. He says in a tweet, I'm gonna be the one to say it. Something has got to change, especially with vetoes. 2 controls where the winner of the coin flip picks every time, 4 hardpoints and 4 S&Ds, meaning 0 outplay potential on top of an already inconsistent format, followed by online matches that actually matter.
Thoughts?
Well, first things first, he says the word control. I already consider it irrelevant because control sucks.
So we kind of talked about this last week, but like, I can agree with you that Gavutu control is not it. I mean, right now, what percentage of Gavutu controls go game 5 straight defenses?
100%.
I mean, it's at least 80%, if not
Control
90.
is just a bad game mode in general.
No. See, I don't agree with that. I think it's true. I think Tusk is actually legit fun.
For the most part, you're always trying to play to get defense. And it always heavily favors a defensive position.
Well, so does S&D.
Always. I mean, not to such a degree that control does.
All I would say is that
the Slack Slam in Black Ops 4 was not amazing to watch on what's it called? Seaside.
Well, Rex wants specialists.
I do want specialists. Specialists would obviously hype that game mode up.
Control in that sense was somewhat. I love watching Control in Black Ops 4. It's like I don't think control itself is the problem. I think it's the way it's utilized. I think having kills
and the maps.
I think kills having the be the counter for if you get defense on round 5 is ridiculous. Like that's just
agreed.
Dumb. You can literally be like not even getting a tick, and they're all just in their base just camping for kills, and it's like that's so stupid.
So that's the biggest problem right now.
I'm not
without
sure
a
why
doubt.
we strayed away from the tick method.
Because
if we're gonna talk about
you know
control
how
at
that
all.
goes.
Correct.
It's just the devs. They're dumb. Like that's just the only answer. Like there's no reason it shouldn't be ticks because it was last COD. Like that makes no sense.
Especially with like how everyone reacted when it went to ticks. Like everyone loved it.
Yeah, everyone loved it.
This is already too much of a detailed conversation for a bad game mode. No matter how you slice it, defense is always favored. Always.
See, but that's what we saw last year though.
And you're just
like
praying
maps, like
even
like on
5 and we have a defense.
Last year on Checkmate was like at the beginning of the year was insanely defense heavy.
It was rough.
And then as the year went along, teams started figuring out, oh wait, this is doable. And then we started seeing an actually really interesting meta on Checkmate control. And last year was a blast to watch. So I think this year, I mean, we really need a third map. I mean, that's MajorManiac's absolutely right. I mean, you know, we desperately need a third map because Gavutu is just so tough. They either need to change the map entirely or like figure out something else because Gavutu is just not going to be it this year.
Gavutu's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I thought what was interesting last year, like what was really fun to me about Control last year was that there was like the game mode that had the biggest skill gap by far. Like last year, FaZe 1.
You got some weird, like bad people in Control who did not know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because like FaZe 1, like what, 70% of their controls last year, and then some teams won like 35. So like it was like where Hardpoint, the biggest gap was like, it was like 64 to like, 42. And once we get a third map in here, it'll be fine. It'll be fun. Actually, it's already fun currently, and it's fun to play. Tuscan's actually a blast to play.
All right, next topic.
Yeah, we'll see.
Challengers Elite Champions on the NA region.
This happened right after the pod last week.
The team Texas Nation with General, Havoc, Kismet, and Brezzy. Rokkr Academy, the new the new Challengers team pickup on the EU side of things, the Spanish Squadron, Journey, Lucky, Metals, and Real.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good pickup.
Oh yeah, I mean, on the NA side, like freaking Havoc was frying, and everyone's like, he was playing amazing. Everyone's like, "Yo, Florida, where you at? Like, maybe you lost your guy Havoc." But then, of course, then Florida comes out and beats Seattle 3-0. So hey,
which is what I said last week about how annoying Florida is.
Oh, they're insane. They're insane.
Man. It's also strange how General and Kismet just keep
I mean, at this point, they deserve to be in the league, right? Like, they've been, like General's been so good for like 2 years now.
Get Kismet back
he's
on Paris.
Obviously a quality player. The problem is the upside and that's the problem we're seeing with Paris is like, where do you find the upside slang? So it's like, you need to pair like a guy like Havoc and General with like 2 legit slayers.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe like a Real or something like that. Yeah, it would be interesting. The Rokkr Academy team ended up, I think, placing top 6 at the most recent cup. They didn't play as well this next cup, so we'll see if they can keep up their play after this little bit the down performance. But they've been playing so well up until that point, winning all the cups, then winning the Elite Stage 1. So, I mean, they're nasty, no doubt. There it is, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, I think we can kind of get into talking about who's the best in the game here and get into our predictions. We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, it's probably going to take about the rest of the pod. So without further ado, let's get it. Let's go. Alrighty, boys and girls, prediction time. And we'll be counting the first 4 matches like individually towards our little season-long totals. And then we'll be heading into the bracket and doing our classic bracket predictions for the Stage 1 Major. And last week was absolutely insane with so many upsets. I mean, there was like 1,000 upsets last week. Basically, what, like 9?
At least 1,000.
Yeah, like 7 of the 10 were basically upsets, depending on what you thought of the OpTic match and who was the favorite of that OpTic match.
Yeah.
But yeah, just crazy overall compared to the week before where 9 of the 10 favorites actually won their match. So like crazy back-to-back weeks. I guess law of averages, at some point the underdogs start winning again. But it was a wild week with Toronto and Seattle both losing both their matches and a lot more. So I think it made this week and the major insanely interesting with so much going on. And our first matchup is a rematch of a match we basically just saw, which is Boston versus FaZe. Thoughts?
Yep. I mean, is there any thoughts to be had?
I mean, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you think Atlanta tests their map pool at the major?
No.
I think that's what we saw them do. I think that's probably the problem, is that's what they just did against Boston.
I feel like during like qualifiers when they're going to be stretching their map pool, and then majors they're going to like really try and bring the heat.
Wait, when was this? 2 weeks ago?
They played them on Gavutu Hardpoint.
Yeah, this was
Berlin S&D and CDL or Gavutu Control.
2 weeks ago. I'm trying to pull my notes up for it, but those are maps that you'd expect them to play pretty good on. So,
which now Boston's like, we used to think of them as the best S&D team. Now they're 4-3 in S&D. So,
yeah, and they've lost.
They beat FaZe in S&D though.
Yeah,
pretty handedly.
Which again could have been the testing issue, but
right.
I mean, New York beat Boston, and like Boston came out and looked at least competitive against OpTic as well, and they were competitive in all their matches they played. But it's like when you're playing FaZe round 1, it's like good luck. I mean, and when FaZe beat you on both Gavutus, like where are you gonna beat FaZe in a series? It just seems very unlikely. So
only in the S&Ds, maybe.
Yeah. So
then obviously control whoever gets defense, whoever wins.
Yeah, I mean even then though FaZe end up winning the Gavutu. So
yeah, I think it'll be a 3-0. I'm not too confident in Breach's S&D as I once was.
Yeah, I mean it depends on the map. They've lost round 11 to Tuscan twice now. They lost round 11 on Tuscan to NYSL. Then they lost round 11 to OpTic on Tuscan, and they looked so good on Tuscan their previous times they'd played it dating back to kickoff.
I imagine they're going to FaZe will ban Berlin
If they lost to him last time on Berlin, probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you probably want to play him on Tuscan.
Yeah.
Or maybe like
because
a Gavutu.
They're 2-0 on Desert Siege and 2-0 on Tuscan.
Well, Boston's whoever wins the coin flip is what is.
Boston wants to play Gavutu.
Boston wants to play Gavutu. FaZe probably wants to play Tuscan.
Yeah, 100%. So that'll be interesting. So I guess we'll see. I could see it going 3-1 if it goes to another Gavutu, because you never know with Gavutu, but I'm going to go 3-0 FaZe. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Rex, can you push it to a 3-1?
Here's the thing. I would pick a 3-1 if I knew the results of the coin flip. I'll do 3-0 also.
Join the train. It's comfortable up here in the other 3-0s. All right, sounds good. No problem at all. So up next, we have what is our match of the week here. As you know, each week we do a match that counts as double points for our predictions.
Mhm.
And so we got this OpTic v Seattle match. And let's just say it's a little spicy up in here with something like that. So thoughts on a map like this, dude? This is going to be a fun
What do
one.
we think of Seattle?
Yeah, that's the question.
They had a bad week, man. I'd said this last week. Mutineers are the most frustrating team because they will beat any team sometimes, but then they'll lose pretty much all the rest of their games. And so, honestly, if Mutineers take the game against Surge, I don't know if I can put any weight on that, because last year I pretty much predicted them wrong every single week, because I thought they were good one week and then the next week they'd be bad. I thought they were bad one week, next week they'd be
obviously,
good.
yeah, they were the toughest team to predict last year, no doubt.
Terrible. When it comes to Surge, though,
aren't you a little worried?
I mean,
Kind of. It was strange how badly they lost to Mutineers.
Yeah,
And
so
then they lost to Ravens.
I guess we can talk about that
pretty handedly, too.
that reset maybe on Bocage, because obviously that was huge. Like, I mean, in the first playthrough, Seattle won. I mean, Vivid was out for maybe 20, 25 seconds probably. Before he rejoined his app, like quickly, he like disconnected or something, so he was able to join back in. And then Seattle ended up winning. I mean, Sib in that first playthrough was frying. He was on fire. And then basically Sib in the rest of that series and then the following series looked terrible and didn't have another good map the rest of the weekend. So it's like, was it fluky or was it not? And then my problem is like, when you look back at Seattle's resume right now, throughout their last 5 games,
Is Berlin even a good Seattle map? Or were they trying to stretch themselves?
they looked amazing against London on Berlin, and like they had their B-bomb steps were coming through, but like Florida, that is Florida's best map. So Surge ego chowed them on Berlin because let me see real quick, because Florida is 2-0 on Berlin and 0-4 on all the other S&D maps. So they squared up on the only map that Florida knows how to play, and they lost.
yeah.
But bad
6-1. I guess my thing was like, when you look back at the last 5 maps now, all right, so like Seattle beat NYSL 3-0 with Neptune. Then they won round 11 Ninja Diffuse against Toronto. Obviously a good win, but like it was as close as it gets.
Yeah.
Then they won a round 11 1v2 against Minnesota on Tuscan in game 5. So they were 1 round away from losing to both Toronto and Minnesota. Then they lost 3-0 to Florida. Then they lost 3-1 to London. So it's like,
do you think
it's not as dominant as you'd want it to be from Seattle now they lost both these.
Right. Do you think they're shook now?
Well, that's the question. Is the confidence low? Like these rookies, do they lose some confidence and suddenly they can't regain? Like that'd be the debate.
It looks like they definitely can't regain because
after the one map resets, and then they can't beat anything afterwards.
The hard
they
point
collapse.
is close again, but then they got blown out S&D, blown out in control. It's like, jeez.
Yeah. And then like with Sib especially, like he had those bad maps after that. So I don't know, man. I'm at least very nervous for the Surge, like at the least. And then OpTics looked good.
I think it's OpTic homestand. I'm choosing OpTic for this one, but I'm going to do OpTic 3-2. That's my prediction. I think OpTic wins 3-2. I think it's going to be a close game. I think we're going to see some life out of Surge again. But I think
it's interesting. I mean, OpTic is obviously, this is classic OpTic. They're down bad. Things aren't looking good for them. And then they have to play Toronto. Spicy hot 3-0. Dominate. Pride. Look incredible. Illy played amazing. And then they played great against Boston. And they were really testing their map set against Boston in that series. Because they played them on Gavutu twice. And they lost the Gavutu real close. Then they won the round 11 on Tuscan, which was Breach's best S&D map. Then they smoked them 3-0 on Gavutu, which was the first time we've seen it 3-0 on Gavutu. And then they beat him on Tuscan. So it's hard not to be at least impressed with OpTic after that. And like, I know
they
Roger.
Showed life. They showed
did you see
life
that clip
again.
of Roger from Hex's vlog saying that the input delay was totally a hoax? Like there was absolutely no input delay on those monitors, even though everyone said there was and Formal said there was. Like he went back and triple checked it and it's like, there is no input delay on these things. And so whether or not OpTic just believed that they had fixed the problem and that was the confidence they needed, or it was just that they finally figured things out, I'm not sure. But I think Texas is in a pretty good spot. I think they're going to beat Seattle. I'm going to go OpTic 3-1.
I think you guys are reading too much into Seattle having a bad week. I'm going to go Seattle 3-2. I think it'll be a close match.
Wow.
This is the double points week. Sam, there's a lot on the line here.
There is. I've got confidence in Seattle. I don't really have confidence in OpTic at this point. You know, I've seen this before too many times.
What's OpTic's record in game 5s? Have they
This
ever
year?
been good? Yeah,
This
this
year
year
or
and
what?
last year, I guess, too.
I'm not sure this year they're probably 1-2. They lost the two that they in the first two series, and then
First two series they
they
lost.
beat Boston. Or they
Boston was game
they beat
4.
Boston.
So they're 0-2 in game 5s.
Well, are you saying game 5s or game
Game-
5s? I thought you meant round 11. Sorry.
No,
yeah.
map 5s. Because I feel like
Map 5's
I
0-2.
honestly don't know if I actually believe it's going to be 3-2 OpTic anymore. I don't know if I trust them in a game 5.
I mean, to be fair, Seattle has been icy in game 5s when they get there.
I'm
They've won
switching
two-
mine.
They've won 2 round 11s.
I'm going to do Texas 3-1.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, Illy's obviously the X factor for OpTic. When he's cooking, they're winning. Like it's about as simple as it gets. The question is, why does Illy cook and when does he not? That's obviously the tougher question to answer. I love watching Shotzzy play this game, especially in control. This dude is always slipping through the defense, shooting people from behind. He's like the super envoy. Like
He's a
he gets through
magician, bro.
he gets through the flank so fast this year so far. It's been fun to watch.
He's a figure skater.
Yeah, it's been a blast. So I think OpTic's gonna win, but I don't know if it's gonna be pretty.
Take him to the Winter Olympics.
10
Okay.
out of 10, no doubt about it. So next one up is London v LAG. And
If you love London, stand up.
nope.
Hmm.
Obviously, London beat Seattle 3-1. Look,
They have played
nice
LAG
with
before.
it.
This
And
is an
Sam Afro had
easy-
his best audition for a top 10 player
Oh,
yet.
yeah. This is the easy London win, boys.
Well,
This
hold
is
on,
easy.
but literally,
Last
they
time
just
they
played
played-
LAG.
Last time they played,
how hard is it to beat a team twice in a row?
it's not easy.
Not
They're
easy.
a really close game. Well, the first two were pretty close.
Last time they played, though, LAG took them to the woodshed on Berlin. It
I
was
mean,
a
that-
blowout.
What? No. Oh, on the hard
Yeah, it
point,
was Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, it took them to the woodshed.
Well, they're gonna ban Berlin now.
And we
what they're gonna
continue
do.
to see London rely on breaks. I mean, this continues to be the narrative for them. Like they just break hard point, break hard point, break hard point. Like eventually that's going to cost you, and that's what we saw in that series against LAG. LAG
I mean, that's what we
had
were
clean
saying with-
rotations. And
It's
then they
reminiscent of
lost.
FaZe back in Modern Warfare. They're just the team that broke stuff all the time.
Right. But like is obviously you have a little bit more confidence in FaZe, right? At least back in Modern Warfare than we do at this point right now in London, even though they've showed potential.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. That LAG loss worries me.
Who do
it
we
does.
favor in a Bocage hardpoint?
Does it though?
LAG or Ravens?
I mean, that's what they're going to want to play probably.
I'm leaning Ravens. But
I would
I will not
lean
deny
Ravens.
LAG has got some good brains, and I think that's what Ravens lack.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with Zero in this weekend. Like, he looked awesome. And like, he continues to look solid. Like, after his poor debut at the beginning of the season, he's really brought it back and looked very, very good. And so that gets me pretty excited to see what we could do in the future here with London. And
of course, Afro.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I mean, Afro is literally playing like a fringe top 10 player right now. And like some of those moments, like I had it in my breakdown video today, but like, my goodness, he was cooking on that Tuscan hardpoint inside church. He had like that nasty like 4-piece or whatever. Those types of moments, you're like, wow. I mean, that is.
It's nice to see the hype is
scary.
real with him.
That's
nice
that's
to
what
see
we
it.
that's what we saw in Cold War. I mean, like
Yeah,
we saw those.
but
types
now
of
they're starting to
plays.
win.
Yeah,
Unlike Cold War.
well, yeah. That's
So
true.
They're a scary team to play. Like I wouldn't like playing Ravens would scare me.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, because they're good.
it's hard for me
I
to
feel like
rely
they're
on
still a
them.
mystery
But
package,
luckily,
too,
I'm
a
not
little
willing to
bit.
rely on LAG either. Like,
Same.
that's the question. Like, and then like you said, in a rematch, it's hard to pick a team to beat a team twice. And so I'm with you. I'm gonna go London. But man, I'm a little nervous for it for sure. I'm gonna go London. Man,
I'm with Sam. I'm going London 3-1.
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna go London 3-2. I think it's gonna be a closer series. S&Ds are kind of toss ups right now.
they are 3-3 for the Ravens.
Yeah, and like LAG's been what, average at best in S&D as well. If I remember, I have to pull it up real quick.
I feel like the vetoes are just going to favor Ravens know
They've actually been 2-5, and that's
what to veto.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but we'll see. I like London's chances a lot in this series. I think they're going to be at least somewhat heavy favorites going into it for sure. So, all right, last match here of the first four is LATV Toronto. This is an absolute banger and a rematch of what we just saw.
Yeah.
And of course, LA Thieves was looking nice. Kenny was looking really nice.
Nice.
Nice, Kenny.
Nice. Kenny.
Nice, Kenny, dude. So I thought for this one.
Well, let's see. FaZe beat LA Thieves 3-1. Thieves beat Subliners 3-1. Thieves barely beat Florida 3-2. Thieves beat Paris 3-1. Thieves beat Ultra 3-1 last time they played. Most recent matchup between them. They're going to be playing each other back to back.
Back to back. Yeah,
I mean, Thieves
gets
got
crazy.
cooked. Map 1.
Oh, it was
250,
disgusting. I mean,
109.
that might have been the best performance we've seen on Bo3 from anyone. And that's the
It was
second
pretty
time
good.
we've seen Thieves get cooked on Bo3. So at this point, they got to bench Bo3. There's no chance you're playing that.
No.
No way. But that means you're playing Toronto on Berlin.
Yeah.
So, but
That
the question
would be
is,
a toss up, honestly.
but like Thieves has looked really good in S&D, and Thieves beat them on the Tuscan. They beat them 3 straight Tuscans: Tuscan S&D, Tuscan Control, Tuscan Hardpoint. And so far, LA Thieves has looked good on Desert Siege. So like, it'll be interesting. That was game 5 last time, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that as an option again here in this series. Man. I mean, the question is, did Toronto have a bad week?
Oh, for sure.
I think so.
Or
too.
was this a trend? Because when you
No.
look back at Toronto's stage now,
You don't
it's,
play brilliantly on Bocage, and then all of a sudden you've just lost your mojo for the next. I mean, they did lose their mojo, but it's not just gone forever. Like there's still.
I mean, it's crazy that
brilliance
they're.
there.
It's crazy that they're 2-3.
They're 2 and 3,
That's
and
wild.
one of their wins was without Cammy.
Yeah.
Against Florida.
That is pretty crazy.
It's like they lost to Seattle 3-2 in stage 1, and in the first week, and then 3-0, and then they lost 3-0 to OpTic. So it's like,
I think the
they have-
hunger's there for Thieves, though.
I mean, to be fair, they played Seattle, OpTic, and LA Thieves, lost all 3 of them.
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't think you can confidently say they're a top 4 team right now.
It's kind of crazy to say. But it's
Losing
true.
to other 3 top 5 type teams
Mhm.
and not having any win inside the top 6.
Yeah.
So I don't
But
know,
who
man.
did Thieves play that was like
LAT specifically?
Yeah, like they didn't really play anybody like that, like showed any sort of grit except for Ultra.
They lost to FaZe 3-1. Right. They beat Subliners 3-1, which is nothing. Then they beat Mutineers 3-2. Isn't great. And then they beat, Legion 3-1, Ultra 3-1.
Yeah.
And they've been inconsistent for sure. Like, there's not really a narrative yet with them where that like for sure makes sense. Besides they're very good on Gavutu. So it's like, can Ultra avoid Gavutu? If they can, they have a pretty good chance. But even then, they avoided Gavutu in this last series and lost.
Yeah.
So you're playing on what everyone would assume is LA Thieves' worst maps, and they still lost. So it's like, But basically the theme for me has been every time I've ever doubted Toronto, I've been proven wrong.
Dude, don't even get me started. I betted against New York last week. I chose Boston.
That's like Genesis 1-1 for Rex in Call of Duty.
It's literally what my life is.
In the beginning, Rex should never bet against New York. Yeah.
I cannot lose faith. I cannot.
Man, oh my gosh. I haven't doubted Toronto since stage 2 of Cold War, the first week of stage 2 of Cold War. After stage 1 or week 1 of stage 2 of Cold War, I've been a firm believer in Toronto. But this weekend scared me. I'm going to go LA Thieves.
One weekend gets you like that, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
3-1. Oh, what happened here?
LA Thieves didn't even play anybody. Like, the only big one was Toronto. And maybe Surge. Wait, did they even play Surge?
No.
Oh, yeah.
But
so the only
again,
one
like,
was Toronto.
But I think, again, the narrative for me is that they played on what are not their best maps, and you're not going to play Bo3 against Ultra anymore. So at least you get that out of the way. Now you have to play Berlin against them. So, okay, that's not going to be easy. But at the same time, Ultra does not want to play them on Gavutu anything. So it's like, you're going to have to play Tuscan, or if Thieves wins the coin toss, then you're for sure playing Gavutu control. So I don't know. I think there's a decent narrative here for Thieves, and they've been playing solid, or well at least.
Thieves have been playing solid. I've been respecting Thieves.
Yeah, but they have lost S&Ds to Subliners, or they lost their one. Then they split S&Ds against Mutineers. They lost their S&D against Legion, and then they did win their Tuscan S&D against Ultra, which was surprising in the series. Yeah. So I don't mind anyone going Toronto 3-1. I love that Toronto team, but I'm a little bit nervous after this weekend.
Yeah, no, I say Toronto still got it 3-2.
Toronto 3-1.
They could come out in 3-0. That wouldn't be surprising at all.
I've got faith.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds good.
Depends who gets the control. Whoever gets the defense on control. So
there it is. You heard it here first. So now we can head over to the bracket, and that means we picked FaZe 3-0. And that means we picked OpTic 3-1. And then we have London 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Toronto. Either you guys went 3-2 or 3-1?
Probably 3-1 is in the middle.
Well, no, 3-2 would be in the middle.
No, well, 3-1 makes sense because you went LA Thieves, so at least it sets the average back.
I was confused. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I'm fine with that. Although I think it's more likely the Ultra wins in a game 5. So I'd rather go 3-2 if we're going to go that way.
Okay.
All right. So next up, that means it's FaZe v OpTic. Okay, so interesting one. Again, obviously we know where Sam's at with OpTic right now. A little bit more nervous, a little bit more hesitant. But, we did see some amazing things. Again, they just coming off of a 3-0 of Toronto. This is on land, the OpTic home series.
True that.
Can they make it happen on land?
He's salty about Ola.
Well, no. There's plenty of things, but
Sam's an OpTic hater, obviously.
I mean, sure, you can call him OpTic hater. I feel like I've been in this situation a million times where it's like,
to get let down by OpTic,
it's like, here comes like the major, OpTic's all hyped up, ready to go.
And they just beat Toronto, dude.
Yeah, but that's it. Toronto had a bad week, and FaZe is 5-0. FaZe
against bad teams. They had the easiest schedule in the league.
They look good, bro.
I mean, again, the argument would be that FaZe is quote unquote overrated because they're 5-0 with the easiest schedule, where they beat Paris,
I do think FaZe is beatable.
Their win is against LA Thieves. So that was their big win. And then they beat Boston, Rokkr, and NYSL. So they've beaten 3 of the 4 bottom 4 teams, and then as well Boston, and then LA Thieves. So
I mean, to be fair, though, like they've only gone to 1 game 5, so like they're like beating them.
They're taking
pretty
care
handily.
of business.
Yeah, so if you want to go that route of yes, they have the easiest schedule, but they're taking care of business. The first game, obviously, versus Paris, they're trying out different maps,
and that was 2 Gavutus that Paris won. Yeah,
and that's all they've been. It feels like they've just been stretching their map pool just on literally ego challenging their opponent on every map.
Yeah.
Like map
choice.
Gavutu is the map you want to play against them, obviously. And so OpTic, it looked good on Gavutu when they played. So that could be.
And if you want to talk about, different teams, Rokkr, OpTic lost to them.
Yeah.
FaZe 3-0'd them.
While FaZe 3-0'd them, right?
Yeah, I mean, Breach beat them on the Berlin S&D. So maybe that's where you'd probably want to play them if you can, if you're like OpTic. So the question is like, the narrative's probably a game 5 win, but we haven't seen OpTic beat Icy in a game 5 win. So it's like, it seems unlikely. It just seems very unlikely.
But it is the OpTic LAN. And I do think there will be a home field advantage.
This is gonna feel like champs to Scump, I would imagine, in a way. I don't know if he'll approach it like that, but like it'll have that type of intensity probably with how insane it's gonna be. So that's gonna be really fun to watch, man. I'm down to go FaZe 3-1, probably.
Gotta be 3-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go with that, Rex.
Yeah.
Is there any other narrative we're missing here?
I was gonna do FaZe 3-2.
Okay.
But I think OpTic is gonna show a little bit more grit than we're giving them credit for. I think FaZe, as good as they are slightly overrated.
And then the Gavutu is always a toss up. That's the thing with this game right now. Is going 3-1 makes so much sense.
The series, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with going either 3-2 or 3-1. Sam, what do you want?
3-1.
Okay, let's go 3-1. All right, that sent us down to the second winners match, which is London v Ultra. Sam, does London have it in them? Does London have it in them to dethrone their European brethren?
I say yes.
They do?
Oh yeah, they're on a hot streak, baby.
What do you think, Josh?
No.
No chance.
I mean, it's hard to say. Obviously, we've seen London. The LAG match, it's so confusing to me. I don't know how to think about the LAG match with London.
This was a weekend of upsets. It was.
Yeah, well, that one specifically was last weekend, but like that was like the only upset last weekend.
Oh, duh. That's what.
But no, yeah, this weekend was a weekend of upsets though. So I'm just still worried about the last week. But again, we saw them beat the Surge, but then the Surge looked terrible against Florida, so then it's hard to know exactly where they're at. This is why this weekend was weird, no doubt about it.
Ravens is more of that young gun crew plus 0, the new era. Ultra is, I don't know. Cammy and Kleenex aren't really young guns, I don't think, anymore, but they're still,
cracked.
But
that was what was weird about that series against OpTic was that the SMGs were playing great. Bance and Kleenex were playing great, but Insight and Cammy were the ones having problems. Just not converting kills. Like both of them went like 20 and 30 or something along those lines, like on that Bocage and in the control were getting bodied. It was weird. Whereas
I'm going Ultra on this one.
Yeah. Ultra smoked them last time, but then they came out and beat Ultra. Or
it's brains. It's
I'm
the
talking
Ultra
about Surge.
Brains plus Ultra slaying power potential.
I mean, Josh, you even said yourself, Ultra is kind of scaring you a little bit, though.
They are, though. I know. London's just a team I just don't know what to believe in, and this is a big step of faith in London to beat Ultra on LAN. I'm going to go Ultra 3-2. What would you go, Sam?
3-2 London.
Madness.
3-2 Ultra.
Madness. I wouldn't. It feels like something crazy is going to happen this tournament, and at this point we have FaZe. We have like FaZe and Ultra playing against each other. Like I get the idea that like someone's going to make a run, I think, which we'll probably talk about in a little bit, but like it is tough. So okay, let's go on down to the losers bracket now. Probably need to start moving a little bit faster here if we want to get these matches done in this tournament. But we'll see what happens. So next one up is Boston v Florida.
I'm going to go Florida
because Florida makes
2.
Rex, why are you going 3-2?
I think this is Florida's time. They're going to make a little noise. They just had a pretty decent weekend. And Breach has been looking a little bit of shaky. I think their confidence is a little bit shaky right now. I think Mutineers are riding high. That's what I think. I think it's going to be Mutineers 3-2.
I'm pretty confident Breach is going to win. The S&D for Florida, again, we've only seen them play Berlin at all well. Like if they don't play Berlin,
Seattle. And kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
Seattle is the better version of Boston.
Boston's not going to play Berlin. So you're going to have that, especially when Seattle's been so good on Tuscan control and then Florida comes out and just bodies them. And we saw Awakening frying. It was sick. But Sam, where are you thinking about this?
I think Breach are going to take it. Mutineers, yeah, they beat Surge, but again, it's going to be this like one-off thing with the Mutineers,
It's tough to know what we think about Breach too, because like they beat LAG 3-2 in their first series.
Yeah.
Then they beat Legion 3-1 in their second series. Then they lost to FaZe. Then they lost to the Subliners team this week, the new Subliners team. And they won both hard points, but that was against, that's what we expect though, is that New York's not going to be good at hard point while royalty's online.
The hard points.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, I think Mutineers will take the control, but that's probably about it.
Mutineers could win. Absolutely Mutineers could win an S&D, but we saw Breach beat FaZe on S&D. We saw Breach go round 11 with OpTic and Subliners on Tuscan. I think this either goes, I'd go game 5 here, Breach win. Sam, you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Surge v Legion.
Surge v Legion.
3-0.
3-1.
3-1. I think so. The controls
Paris
there.
is not as bad as everyone makes them out.
No, I agree. Paris is at least like there, and we've seen Paris play a handful of teams close. And I want to keep highlighting Temp because I think Temp's been their best player by far so far this year.
Agree.
And he's looked. I've loved watching him, and his gun skill's been there.
He's got some stats behind him.
I'll be honest. If they end up losing this first series against Surge, which everything points to that, I think they should make a roster change, and I would drop 2 players.
Who are the players?
We have to see how they play against if it ends up being Seattle against Seattle.
It's not Temp, apparently.
Not Temp.
John is probably one.
John.
Don't do it to me, dude. Don't do it.
John has to get dropped if they're going to make changes. It's been a problem.
Yeah,
and then probably Decimate. Although Decimate and Philo feel kind of like a toss-up at this point. Probably depends who's available and who you really want to play with in the challenger scene. And you add, like, if Temp can be your 0, that'd be the ideal situation at this point. But, and build around with 3 younger guys. With that said, 3-1, I think makes a lot of sense. The control would be the question mark. Maybe in S&D, they've looked good and very competitive in S&D. Beating Thieves and Search and Destroy on Berlin. Beating Legion on Tuscan. So, and then control, they've beat Breach and Paris. So it's very possible they could force a game 4 or maybe even a game 5.
All right.
All right,
Rokkr.
Yes. LAG v Rokkr. This is a fun one. Anyone got an immediate thought here? I'm pulling up some
I think it's
gameplays.
going to be LAG 3-2. I think it's going to be a heartbreaking loss for Rokkr in a game 5.
It was the 3-2 last time, Rokkr. They just played.
3-2 Rokkr.
It was a pretty. The Bo3 S&D was not close.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, they just played obviously. So went game 5. LAG.
Rokkr won both S&Ds.
Man,
this is
that's tough. That's a tough series. It's LAN. Does that matter in this series? As long as Hook spells his name right, it shouldn't matter.
True. Very true.
I mean,
Gorillas have a pretty good gambit of hardpoint. Like
gambit.
They're currently 7-2 and they've played all 4 maps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think if we're gonna play again, I think Gorillas take one or both.
Gorillas 7-2 in hardpoint.
Yeah.
And I missed that. That's crazy. Who's beat him in hardpoint here?
The control's gonna be the toss up here because Rokkr are 3-6 in hardpoint and 5-3 in S&D, while Gorillas are 2-5 in S&D, and they're both 1-4 in control.
Yeah, Ultra beat him in the insanely close bocage that Ultra and them played. Ultra beat him 245-239 when the time ran out.
Yeah.
And then Rokkr beat him in that last series on Berlin, 250-203.
So depending on who wins the toss,
Man.
I mean, they're both. I guess Gorillas would want to play Gavutu, maybe, because
Yeah.
Rokkr haven't
I
won
think they
one.
just want to play
Dude,
defense.
LAG could absolutely, I'm sorry, I'm wrapping back. LAG could absolutely beat London again. It's very possible. I'm going to go LAG.
3-1, right?
I think 3-1 makes sense if they're with the hard point advantage. Even though Rokkr did beat him in that game 4 last time, I think hedging your bets there and like you'd imagine LAG hasn't looked horrible in S&D, even though they haven't won very many of them. You good with the 3-1, Sam?
Oh yeah.
Best of 3 are Rokkr haters.
Yes,
Classic.
we are.
Just insane. I can't believe that because I freaking love the Rokkr. The LA Thieves and Subliners match here is next. Is there any world where Subliners can prove someone wrong here, Rex? I mean, it looks good.
100% there's a world.
I feel bad picking against New York after how good they looked and beat Boston, but I mean,
But like that's it.
Here's the
I'm
thing.
obviously
That's
going
where it
LA
starts and
Thieves here.
ends.
It does not where it starts and ends.
That's where it
New
starts
York
and ends.
has a lot of growing to do in hard points. Their S&D is in a decent spot.
Oh yeah, but I'll argue for you here.
Controls are also
Royalty's playing online and they've looked bad in hardpoint.
yes,
But now that they're on LAN with him not being on 70 ping,
right.
Who
Here's
knows?
the thing. I don't really like that excuse. I think
I mean, it matters.
Royalty. I think they just played the hard points terrible. To be honest, like I don't even think it had anything to do with ping for Royalty. I really just think they just
Well, there's more
were
going on than
really
that.
bad
I
at
agree.
hard points. But when they played FaZe, they still lost the hard points, but they looked better. Just in that one day, they looked better.
Agreed.
I think the growth that has to happen in the hard points for New York is there, and it will happen. I think they had a really rough start, but I think they can
They
still
have
finish
what, 9
strong.
days to make it happen, though.
Thieves, though, they're
That
in a
looked
solid
great.
spot right now. Has Subliners honed down that hard point enough to compete against Thieves in that way?
Or to compete against them on Gavutu if they end up playing Gavutu.
Well, but the Gavutu Subliners, I don't think are bad at Gavutu either.
No, I agree.
They beat FaZe
But
on Gavutu.
LA Thieves is the best
They win
Gavutu
attacks
team.
on Gavutu.
I agree. I'm going Thieves 3-1.
I was gonna say 3-0 or 3-1.
You're
Yeah.
insane.
Rex, what would you do here?
It's the hard points. It's really, if New York can get one hard point win, we got a 3-2. We got a game 5, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. That's why
But
I just
can
think
they
that
take a
3-1
hard
makes a lot of
point?
sense. Yeah, that's the
I
problem.
saw the FaZe game. The hard point was just better. They lost, but it was light years better than where it was. Is this enough time for that hard point to get better for Subliners? Good enough to be able to compete with everybody else still?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's the problem. I think it's going to be a tough spot for them, but it's possible. And like, I would not be surprised. Would not be surprised at all. So, all right, sounds good. Rex, would you probably go 3-1 then? LA
I'm
Thieves
riding
still?
the train. Subliners.
Like, you got nothing to
Subliners.
lose, so you may as well say it.
Subliners 3-2.
Jeez.
Fair enough.
I
Fair enough.
Cannot doubt them again. Can't.
All right, let's go to the losers round 2 here. OpTic or Boston v Surge now.
Surge win.
They match up well
100%.
here. It makes sense that Surge win this, right?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a Surge 3-0.
They're finding the rhythm again.
I think so.
Oh, spicy. Sam, what do you think?
I think Breach will take an S&D, but that's about it.
So you'd go 3-1.
3-1. Yeah.
I'm down. We feel like we don't have enough 3-0s. I think it's pretty close. It could be a 3-0 or 3-1. I'm down to go 3-0 here. If we're trying to play for some map counts,
Why not?
nail
Let's
this
do
thing
it.
down. When we got win like $10,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, and then the final losers round 2 match is a fun one. Thieves vs LAG. Good hardpoint teams here, and teams that match up I think pretty interestingly with how the SMGs play.
Mhm.
And it's the rivalry, the LA Thieves rivalry. Who do you think?
I think based on how Thieves have been playing, this can go Thieves.
Yeah.
I mean, just with like Gorilla's, losses to Rokkr than London.
But yeah, I mean, Surge has been great in control up until this weekend.
Yeah, I think.
So like that's the question.
I think Thieves take it.
I mean,
I'll say Thieves 32.
yeah, I'm I'm definitely torn a little bit, but I'm pretty confident Thieves is going to play well. Like I said, I really like how this team's playing. They have an advantage in the AR heavy maps, and depending on what happens with this patch, maybe even more of an advantage now. I'm down to go Thieves 3-1 or 3-2. Sam, where are you at?
I think 3-1.
Yeah, I'm down for 3-1 as well. So let's make it happen. So the next one here is London v Surge. Elimination round 3 here.
You mean
A
Toronto?
rematch of their last matchup here. Can Surge bring it back, or is this London?
You mean Toronto? Do we have
London
London
v.
beating
Surge.
Toronto? Oh no, we had Toronto beating London.
Yeah. Come on now. How dare you try to put your London
v.
Royal
Surge.
Raven fandom
I
over
know,
this?
I'm sorry.
No,
I
yeah,
think
so this
Surge
is a
are gonna go
rematch
on
of the
a
match
run.
we just saw this weekend. Obviously, Ravens beat them 3-1. Like I said, 250, 199 Tuscan, 6-1 on Berlin, the dominant Berlin, 3-2 on Gavutu, 250, 141 on Gavutu.
I'm going Surge 3-1. I think Surge are going to start going on a tear. They're going to get that Ravens rematch. I think they're going to be out for blood against them.
I like the London losers bracket narrative here.
I always do say though, it is hard to beat a team twice
I know. That's what I'm scared of.
in close proximity.
Close proximity. But at this point, it's like both teams will have a lot of play time on LAN. Trying to figure out how I want to go about this. I think I'm leaning London. The Seattle team scared me. These last 2 matches really, really scared me.
They were
So-
tilted.
I mean, that's the thing. Were they that tilted? Because if they were, that's tough. I mean, we saw
They're
Marty play.
riding the wave, but it feels like their wave is a little like wild right now.
It
I
is
think
wild
they're
right now.
I think they're on an upward trend. I think they're kind of in a hurricane.
But like, can you really tilt into a London match? Like, you lost to Florida and you tilted all the way into a
won't
London
tilt
match the
in
next
London
day?
Match. They're going to be going in with a vengeance.
Maybe. Sam, if you love London, stand up.
If you love London,
If you love London,
stand
stand up.
I'm taking London for sure.
I'm going to go London 3-1. Do they
Good.
play a similar map set? Tuscan, Berlin, Gavutu? Like, if you're Surge, you probably want to get Gavutu the fluff out of there. But again, London, obviously, you'd probably rather not. But like,
Mhm.
London beat him on Tuscan, and Surge has been the best team on Tuscan. It's like when London's beating
they beat
them.
them once. They beat them once.
Well, they played him once and they beat him once. They're 1-for-1. I mean, Surge has looked good on Tuscan with the wins against Subliners, Ultra. So they beat Subliners and Ultra, I guess, on Tuscan. They look good on Tuscan in the kickoff event. So, man, that's why I'm just a little bit torn.
I said Ravens 3-2.
Ooh, really? I don't know. Seattle's just been so icy in game 5s. That's why I'm a little bit scared.
Mm.
But I'm sticking with 3-1. Rex, would you rather have a 3-1 or a 3-2 if London was getting picked?
Probably 3-1.
Okay. All right, here we go. OpTic v Thieves in a massive match in losers. Talk about probably maybe the most watched match of the whole event, maybe besides FaZe, if FaZe OpTic, if that ends up being the case.
Probably.
So this is huge, massive.
Mm-hmm.
What's your first initial instinct when you see FaZe or OpTic v Thieves?
I see an OpTic choke and Thieves winning.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's just the narrative that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative that we've seen a few times this year already
Just a
and
few.
last year.
Yeah.
Sam, are you scared of it too?
Oh yeah. I
I honestly feel like
I don't
if
have
it was
any faith in
other
OpTic
team,
right now.
If it was any other team, I feel like OpTic could win, but for some reason it's Thieves, and I just don't think they're gonna do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dude,
That's
how
fair.
How many times have they choked on land, dude? It's just
It's been a lot,
crazy.
but this is a new team. You know, I mean, sure, we saw them choke on the kickoff event, but like they weren't trying, obviously, straight from their mouths. Like,
straight from the horse's mouth.
I mean, they have to show up. Like the OpTic does have that home crowd advantage here.
Right. Does it matter? Does that really matter, though? I think that's usually a
No.
pretty overblown narrative.
It is.
I don't think so. But
Really?
I mean, I don't know how strongly people think of it, but I do think that could propel people to win matches at times.
Interesting. I mean, like the question is like where do you see OpTic having the advantage? I mean, obviously OpTic just looked great on, but Bocage, I mean, in basically every map they played except for Gavutu, Hardpoint where Breach beat him, but like at that point, OpTic's won 9 of their last 10 maps they've played since they lost to Rokkr, beating Legion 3-0, beating Ultra 3-0, beating Breach 3-1. They're rolling, and they're heading to LAN in a series that probably means a lot to them. So it's like the narrative makes sense for OpTic to make a run here.
But it's Thieves.
It's just the hard points too. Like Thieves is such a good hard point team right now.
It's just because it's Thieves.
You know?
That's
I know.
Gonna get it right there.
The question, at the end of the day, the question is like,
It's gonna be a mental
how do you
game.
feel about Ultra? Because OpTic beat Ultra 3-0, Thieves beat out Ultra 3-1, OpTic beat Ultra on Bocage, Ultra destroyed Thieves on Bocage. You can like play a little game there where like, you know, OpTic dominated Toronto
This is
on
going to be a
Tuscan.
mental game. Totally mental.
I know. So I guess the question
And
is, do you
Thieves
believe
are going to be the underdog?
do you believe
and-
OpTic will clutch up?
I don't. I think
No.
I think they will.
No.
I'd go OpTic 3-2. It
Thieves
sounds like I'm
3-1.
outvoted.
Yeah.
Thieves.
3-2.
I think
probably
Thieves 3-1 is more likely if that's the case. So I'll go. I'll put Thieves 3-1, but I'd go OpTic. All right, we got a few matches left here. Winners. Let's do winners finals.
Okay.
FaZe v Ultra, a banger of a series here.
Ching ching.
In the winners finals, does Ultra get their revenge from CoD champs? No,
No.
No.
they don't.
FaZe 3-1.
Agreed.
Yep.
FaZe 3-1.
100%.
It feels like we're kind of. It's just hard. It's so hard to bet against FaZe. You got to be ballsy as hell to bet against FaZe because what's the evidence at this point that they suck?
Yeah, they showed us nothing except for the opener, which is the same thing that happened last year.
Which has happened to every team in the league at this point with
Yeah.
Kavutu.
So I'm just
So
like,
it's
yeah.
like they've had the same problem that every team's had, Kavutu control.
yeah,
like-
there's just no evidence yet. So
Yeah, I mean, since then they've looked great and they've done what they needed to do. The controls have been, I guess, the question. That losing the Subliners 3-2 on Kavutu again. So it's like you want to play FaZe on Kavutu, but Ultra doesn't want to play Kavutu either. So it's like it just seems like they're gonna play Tuscan, and at that point you got to pick FaZe.
yep.
So 3-1, I'm down. All right, losers semis. That means we got Ravens v Thieves. Oh boy.
Thieves.
Oh boy.
Thieves.
So at this point, yeah, we got a Thieves run rocking here. Sam,
I know Thieves are
if
like.
you love London.
I know Thieves are looking like a good pick. Honestly, it just
Thieves looking solid, man.
this is like the 100
They can compete
Thieves,
against
like
everybody.
the 100 Thieves.
I'm not confident in
Black
Thieves
Ops
though.
4 run. You know.
I mean, again, at this point, Thieves only losses to FaZe week 1. They beat Subliners 3-1. They beat Mutineers 3-2, which is not a great win. And they looked bad on the Berlins. But again, they were squaring up against them on Berlin. Just don't do it, and you're in a better spot. Then
But
they 100-point clubbed Legion on Kavutu and just cooked them. And that was Legion's best map was Kavutu. And then they come out and beat Ultra. So it's like, where's the downside for Thieves right now? They're cooking. And Kenny is the man right now. And who do you trust on LAN? I trust Thieves. I'm going Thieves 3-1.
Yep.
Sam, I'm sorry.
as much as I want to stand up, Thieves just like the storyline does seem like Thieves right now. I don't know.
But in a loser's final on LAN, in a rematch against Toronto, from this last map, Thieves beat them 3-1, like I just said. In a rematch, though, in winners' final or in losers' finals on LAN, when it's all on the line, who's taking it?
Yeah,
What do you guys like? What do you feel like? Like, what's the narrative for Ultra? Ultra, we've kind of had stagger the way through here in like really close series, obviously. At this point, coming off a
3-2,
loss out of
obviously.
FaZe. I like the LAT narrative a lot.
I do too. They're the new. They're a wall. They're a brick wall, much like Ultra was.
The problem is it's like so easy to see them losing. There's no guarantees in this. FaZe is the only place there's any comfort in picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
and then Ultra 2, you know, it's just like taking their whole stage 1 and
Ultra's in a slump.
I mean,
Ultra's in a
we
slump.
have Ultra top 3 of this event, coming off of 2 straight losses.
not bad.
Thieves are riding high, and they're looking pretty good. So I think Thieves are going to take it. I don't think it's going to be the very end of the season, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think Ultra still is riding the wave.
That's interesting. I mean, this is the
trying to
rematch,
climb
and
up,
this one we had Ultra beating Thieves, and now they're rematching in the losers finals.
Mhm.
So I'm down to go Thieves here.
Yeah.
Want to go 3-1 again?
Yeah.
I think
Nah,
so.
3-2. 3-1. Fine. 3-1.
Yeah, I'm down with that. All right, grand finals, best of 9, FaZe v Thieves. FaZe gets the 1 veto advantage, so they're not playing Gavutu. That's for
Yep.
sure. They're getting that Gavutu out of there. And Atlanta will be rocking and rolling in a best of 9, playing all the maps except for Gavutu control.
This is spicy because Thieves is going to want this one.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And
Well,
FaZe will want it, but it's different when you live there.
Yeah, they're always there.
I mean,
This is
FaZe have lost FaZe have lost 5 maps. 2 of them has been given to control.
Right. So
To
if you
to
knock
control
that out of
there,
there, suddenly
they've
you're
only
like
lost
looking at
3
S&Ds.
maps. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But the thing is like, and again, the Legion or LA Thieves hasn't had like a clean narrative, like I said earlier. So it's like they've lost the S&D to Subliners.
Yeah.
And they lost if anything, it's S&Ds. So they lost the S&D, but if anything, you want to be good against in S&D against FaZe. So it's like, it feels like FaZe is going to win this from winners.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
5-2.
Yeah, either 5-2 or 5-3.
I wouldn't give
I'd go
Thieves
5-2. I'd go 5-2.
5-2.
I hate picking a boring FaZe win in a tournament like this.
But we have to. I mean, like, what's the evidence against it?
That's the
You
thing.
know?
Like, at that point, you're picking off of pure not
Just
logic.
luck. Yeah.
like I just think they haven't shown a sign of weakness at this point.
No.
And so at this point, it's kind of like prove us wrong, I guess, is like a team to beat FaZe like this in a grand finals where, I mean, obviously, like last year, no team could. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not since Toronto in stage 2. So there it is, guys. So I want to do a few little conversations here at the end, talk about some alternate scenarios, some Darkhorses. I mean, obviously, I would say for you, Sam, I mean, London would be like the top 3 look, like if they beat LA Thieves there. But is there any world where like we could see an LAG, beat LA Thieves, or, maybe LA Thieves not there and LAG suddenly finds their way to play OpTic and then OpTic blows it? Like, are there some narratives there where something like that could happen? Who's the team you're looking at?
I mean, OpTic maybe. I think OpTic could make it to a grand final.
Are they a dark horse though, coming off of these wins?
Just for their past land placings, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, power rankings right now is probably the messiest power rankings of all time. After this last week, where when you have Seattle and Toronto losing both their matches, like it's impossible to power rank. Like literally, I mean, how many teams would you say
was
is
top 4 until like now? Now
Right.
it's like bottom middle path.
How many teams would you say is plausible could win this tournament? 6 at least, right?
Yeah, 6 at least. Yeah.
FaZe, OpTic,
Subliners.
Seattle. Oh,
Subliners.
Subliners. Excuse me, Toronto,
Hashtag
London.
stand clear.
I would say there's 5 clear ones with FaZe, OpTic, Surge, London, Thieves, and Ultra. That's 6 right there.
Yeah. Not
And then,
surprised
like-
by any of them.
And then even then, LAG, Breach
Yeah.
have looked competitive.
Yeah.
I don't see them getting that far. Man.
And then you've got Florida or New York, Minnesota. Who knows? Like, you can't underestimate any of these teams, which is what makes this tournament so fun. So if you had to bet on one team that we have losing in the in the losers' first 2 rounds, so either LAG, Boston, Florida, Paris, Rokkr, or Subliners
Subliners.
to go the furthest. Let's all pick our horse in the race.
Subliners.
LAG.
Ah, Sam, you dirty
LAG's a good
dirty
choice
man.
too.
LAG.
I'd go Boston.
See, Boston's probably my last pick.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, LAG probably is my top pick,
yeah.
and then Subliners only because of the hard point struggle.
Okay,
with
let's
them.
award a 2-point bonus for our picks out of those teams who go the farthest. All right, a little
Okay.
2-point bonus wager for those teams. So I got Boston, Rex got NYSL, Sam's got LAG for who goes the farthest.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. Appreciate it. That's a fun one. And then I also wanted to bring back, actually, let's save the hot seat segment for next week because that'll be a fun one.
Mhm.
And who's your MVP of this tournament if FaZe wins? I mean, Celium?
Probably Celium.
He's been insane.
Or BZ, actually, or BZ.
I mean, it could be either of them, no doubt about it. I mean, well, Sim's been playing. He's back. And we didn't even mention that. Sim's found his rhythm. He's looked insane the last 2 series they've played. So it's like, you got Celium playing all of them. They look so good. It's scary. Okay. And then the last conversation here would be, is there one player that you see like really needs to improve to like the team? Is there a player you're looking at to like be the X factor in this tournament for a team? Illy. Yeah, Royalty's interesting. Illy's the guy, because if Illy's playing like how he played against Toronto, then OpTic could be in the grand finals.
Yeah.
But like, man, we haven't seen
Cammy.
it. Well, that's an interesting one. Cammy hasn't played well the last 2 series, and if he does, then Toronto's right back in the grand finals.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some pressure there for sure. And and then the question is like, was any of that? And we didn't even mention this, but like, he was sick, and then he didn't play for like those few days, and then came back, and then they lost 2 in a row. So maybe it was just that fluky weekend with Cammy not getting as much practice as they wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a narratives there too. So it'll be interesting, man. So with that said, this is one of our longer episodes recently, but there was so much to talk about. So let's get into intelligent or irrelevant and see what's up. Let's hit it.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Sam, what do we got going on, Sam?
Oh man, here we go.
With intelligent or irrelevant.
Intelligente. Okay, so just a curious question.
Okay.
With the current spawn system and gun gameplay, what role do you see as most important in Vanguard so far?
Oh,
is it the sub duo? Is it the true flex?
That's a fun question. I like this
or
one.
Is it the main AR?
Interesting,
I
don't think people are going to say main AR.
Yeah. I think the flexes have clearly been X factors and have been kind of dominant.
Yep. Celium, Sib, guys like that.
Flex.
Illy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's also map dependent a little bit, but I think overall flex.
Absolutely. Sub duos, of course, though.
Man. Yeah, I'm gonna go with people still say sub duos, but it's gonna be really close. I'll be interested to see. I'm actually excited.
Yeah.
I would still say sub duos myself.
Yeah. I think they're gonna say flex, but we'll see. We have 104 votes, so
Decent.
yeah. So I'm gonna vote main AR. And yeah, there we go. 61% say true flex.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
32% say sub duo, and then 6% say main AR.
Wait, that's actually wow. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
So pretty.
Read some of the
pretty
comments. I
skewed.
want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah. Okay. So hordes. I think the flex brings the most value to the team because of their versatility. This game seems to have a lot of maps that require either 3 SMGs or 3 ARs. So to have a player like Celium who can do both at high level is crucial to a team's success.
Yeah, I mean, Celium's going to be the narrative. Celium and Sib are going to be the narrative. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
John's comment's really insightful.
I'll go to John said your mom. So,
wow, John, that's some deep thought there from you, my guy.
Absolutely.
Man.
Tyler Park says, Bash, can I suck your toes? Flex, by the way.
Oh, been there, done that.
Wait, what?
What?
Let's move on from there. LG No Side says, flex 100%. If your flex can adapt in the moment to map mode hill, you're in some deep crap. A good flex player, make or break a team. They can turn around a game on a dime, whether he play good or bad. Except for FaZe. FaZe is an anomaly. Anyone on their team can flip a switch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, I mean, Kenny, PD Gaming said Kenny and Illy as being X factors as well for their teams. That's a pretty good point. It's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Jackson says the flexes have been the X factor on almost every team. So, yeah, it seems like
that's fair.
People are pretty high in the flex.
Interesting. I like that a lot from them. Like that a lot. Well, that's fun. I think that's solid. I mean, obviously irrelevant because sub duos, but either way, still good insightful stuff there. So There it is, guys. That's the best of 3 pod this week. Insane. Next week, we'll be going over, the hot seat. We'll be having some player discussions, some rankings, maybe talk about some of those flexes specifically, because there's some spicy ones out there. I'll be going through them all. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. There's a lot going on. We appreciate you guys for hanging with us and talking and listening to some Call of Duty. Always shoot us your opinions on Twitter. Best of 3 pod on Twitter is where we do these intelligent and relevant. So follow us on Twitter. And appreciate you guys for watching. But as always, I'm Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bachelor Scooby 3, Sam, and to our far right per usual was Rex, ShadyNero, and guys, we will see you next time. Oh yeah.